In today's lesson, we'll be learning about slope. If you remember, slope is the same thing as rate of change. However, slope refers to the steepness of a line. Find the slope of a line by drawing a right triangle underneath it. The height would be the rise, while the base would be the run. And slope would be equal to rise over run. However, there is another way to find the slope of a line without drawing a right triangle underneath it. All you need is the coordinates or address of 2 points on that line. These ones indicate that that's the first point on the line, and these two indicate that that's the second point on the line. If you take y2 and subtract y1 from it, that actually gives you the rise. Meanwhile, if you take x2 and subtract x1 from it, that actually gives you the run. Therefore, this equation is the same thing as rise over run, which is the same thing as the rate of change. In our first example, we want to find the slope of this green line. Before we do anything, take a look at its overall shape. Is the line going up or is it going down? This line is definitely going upwards, which means it must have a positive slope. Next, I'm going to find the slope of the green line without drawing a right triangle underneath it. And I can do that since I have the coordinates or address of 2 points on this line. I'm going to call this point 1, which means it's going to be called x1, y1. And I'm going to call this other point the second point. Therefore, it's going to be called x2, y2. Our first point was -6 and -70. Meanwhile, our second point was -2 and -20. I'm going to use this new equation to find our slope, which means I'm going to replace y2 with the number -20. Next, I'm going to replace y1 with the number -70. Next, I'm going to replace x2 with the number -2. And finally, I'm going to replace x1 with the number -6. At this point, you'll notice that we have two negative signs directly beside each other, and again, we have two negative signs directly beside each other. Using our shortcuts, if you have two negative signs directly beside each other, that actually becomes a positive sign. Therefore, these two negatives become a positive, and these two negatives also become a positive. You probably want to use a number line or a calculator at this point. -20 plus 70 gives you 50, and -2 plus 6 gives you 4. You can leave this as a fraction if you want, or you can change it to a decimal. I'm going to take 50 and divide it by 4, and that gives me 12.5. Now, if you recall, our line was going up, therefore it had to have a positive slope. And if you take a look at our calculations, 12.5 is positive.